Good afternoon. This is Leatherneck Magazine's Andrew Lubin. We're talking again with Bill Golden, chairman of DefenseCareers.com. Bill, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Always glad to help out the Marines.
Okay. Bill, last week we spoke about jobs in the Marine Corps in general. Today let's speak about the Marines getting out down to Camp Lejeune. You have a lot of young Marines getting out in the next year. A lot of combat skills, not so transferable into the into the civilian job market. How do these young Marines, men and women, prepare themselves?
Okay. As always, the first question that you need to ask yourself is, do they plan to remain in the immediate area? North Carolina is a good place. I know it's beautiful, but it's a good place to leave. The unemployment rate is still well over 9% throughout much of North Carolina, and there's not much chance it will improve over the next 12 months. So a young Marine, first off, needs to make up their mind where they want to live and where they want to go, and leaving North Carolina temporarily is the best plan. Secondly, you need to take a skills inventory, and I know many of these folks may be coming out of the combat arms or combat support role, but what you bring with you is leadership, kind of a knowledge of how the world works. You need to ask yourself, number one question is, what would I like to be when I grow up? And that's going to drive the rest of the discussion.
Well, you've got, amongst other programs, the Voluntary Separation Program. Is this worth taking if the Marine qualifies to get out early, or is he better off waiting perhaps for the economy to improve and get out next year or so?
Okay. I would tell you, if the Marine is happy in the Marine Corps where they currently are, and if you can extend your time by a year, year and a half, I believe that the economy will be a far better place by 2014. Now is not necessarily bad depending upon where you go, but if you could do another year, year and a half in the Marine Corps, you would be better off to stay for many different reasons. But if you've made up your mind, let's say you're in a career field where chances of promotion are slow, or you really don't enjoy what you're doing, now is a great time to get out as long as you know where you're going and answer that question, what would I like to be when I grow up?
Well, Bill, within, say, 70 miles, 75 miles of Camp Lejeune, what's out there? What's a good area for Marine to go? If they, let's assume they want to stay in that area, they disregard your advice. Where's the better place for them to move to?
You really want to focus on Fayetteville, North Carolina. 18th Airborne Corps, the Army's support mission. There's plenty of opportunities in the Fayetteville area, and the Army loves Marines, maybe not when in uniform, I know they kid each other, but no, the Marines would do just fine finding work for defense contractors and related services supporting the Army at the 18th Airborne Corps, Fayetteville, and the Air Force has some unique needs too. That is about the only area in North Carolina where I would say your skills are going to quickly and readily transfer, and you're going to get good money for it.
What kind of positions are available in that area, or maybe up north, up by where Seymour Johnson Air Force Base is?
Really, the opportunities at Seymour Johnson, which is a support function as well. The opportunities are focused on the 18th Airborne Corps, Fayetteville. If you cannot say the word Fayetteville over and over again, you just really need to leave the state. But the opportunities in the Fayetteville area include trainers, intelligence professionals. Now, I know that if you're coming out of combat arms, you may not be an intelligence professional per se, but the Army, as a defense contractor, has a flexible view as to what this means. So if you were in an S2 shop or an S3 shop, if you were in automated logistics, if you were in special forces support to special operations, if you did mission planning, foreign languages, whether you were officially a linguist or not, the bottom line is just about everything. Logisticians are needed by the truckload in the Fayetteville area. So just about anything that an Army needs, you're going to find an opportunity for in the Fayetteville area.
Well, if they need that in Fayetteville, would they also need that in Jacksonville, down where Camp Lejeune is located?
No, and here's why. The local economy is just slow. The Marine Corps does not have as many systems to support. So think of it as, you know, the size of a system. The Marine Corps systems are more direct support. They're a lot less integrated than the Army. Fayetteville is a deployment site, really not only for the 18th Airborne Corps, but for many other operations. And the economy in and around the Marine Corps base there in Carolina is just not that robust.
Okay, fair enough. Then Fayetteville it is. But what about going south? What about down by Myrtle Beach? Or is that mostly just bartending and being a golf pro?
You want to keep moving, but you know, if you were to go towards Augusta, Georgia, Fort Gordon, Georgia, again, Fort Gordon is right on the South Carolina line, not too far away. Head to Fort Gordon. Again, it's a large base. It's a national security base. Basically, Fort Meade, Maryland, it's one of the branches of Fort Meade, Maryland. And there are quite a few opportunities in the Augusta area, and the Augusta economy itself is doing quite well.
How do these young men and women coming out of the Marine Corps prepare their resumes? They're coming out, many of them infantry, artillery, or combat arms. How does that translate, and what do they actually say as for their background?
Well, that's where you need to ask yourself, what would you like to be when you grow up? So it's not recommended that you put on your resume, I am seeking a position as, but I do recommend it because you need to define where you see yourself fitting in. So if you're going purely in the commercial industry, your resume needs to start out, I am seeking an entry-level opportunity in the field of, and you know, if you have that combat arms, you have that presence, you've been out there, you'll do it. There are quite a few fields in commercial industry where they're looking for achievers. Now, I know that people dislike to think about selling things, or many people do. It scares people to death to think, oh, I see an opportunity for a marketer. But I would encourage you in some cases to actually look for positions that say seeking a market representative. Take your local cable company, and you really should. A cable company that provides you television and video and your phone service, etc. They have great programs for training people that are people that like to meet and talk about what are your needs, and we have these services. So you're more of a consultant. I look for marketing jobs. Some of them are less desirable, but many of them pay great money, and they are almost always door opener opportunities. Now, if you're in a defense community, such as Augusta, Georgia, you need to define yourself somewhere along the lines of what you did while you were in the military. Seeking a position within logistics, seeking a position in finance and accounting, seeking a position in POL services, whatever, and tailor it to a military environment where they use contractors to provide those services.
Well, thinking back to your marketing concept, that's really asking somebody what they need. That's not too dissimilar than what these young men and women have been doing in Afghanistan in the counterinsurgency program. So there is an easy switch then, isn't there?
Sure. You know, you show up, and whether you're in a village in Afghanistan or here, you know, hey, my name is Sergeant such and such. I'm here. Tell me what the situation is here on the ground. Let's look at what we've got to work with. Tell me what our needs are. And that's the way marketing really works. And again, there are many opportunities, not just the telecommunications companies. Now, many of the military have basic electronic skills. You know, they're used to assembling systems, etc. So again, you want to look at companies that provide Installation services. So a good keyword in almost any market within the U.S. is search on a job called installer. Whether you're working for Best Buy, installing, literally moving refrigerators out of a warehouse, taking it wherever, installing them. You're doing auto systems for audio, and again, helping people put together their home networks or whatever else. Many of these skills really will back right up to either marketing or the word installer, and these are good fields.
Okay. Now, are companies like this veterans friendly, or veteran friendly more just the talk of the day?
No, veteran friendly is. There are a couple companies I would say that kind of wave the flag and say we're veteran friendly, but most companies truly are veteran friendly and are more than willing to work with young veterans, and they understand the value of what a veteran brings, and that is hard work, the ability to be on time, on target, and to understand that it's not done until it's done.
Bill, you've been in the career services business now for 15 years with defensecareers.com, intelligencecareers.com, and some of the others. How does your company differ than some of the others, and what can your company do for these young men and women getting out of the service?
Well, one of the major ways that we tend to differ is that we are very focused on providing information. So there are tons of websites out there that have job listings, an employer's index or whatever. But on our website, we run more than 140 career blogs, and it's real easy. This goes back to what would you like to be when you grow up. We run websites like USAWisconsinjobs.com, USA California Jobs. So wherever you want to go, just put the letters USA first, USA Puerto Rico Jobs.com, we've got that. If you're a software developer or risk assessment, or you're a money person, USAMoneyJobs.com, USAFinanceJobs.com, USALogisticsJobs.com, USALawEnforcementJobs.com. When you go to any of our blogs, defense careers, etc., the one thing you will find is there is a search jobs box, but there is tons of information about who the players in the market are currently, what contracts they've won, what are trends, how to figure out your market value, and if you're really you're not quite sure what to do next, you will see an icon in the upper right hand that says Guru. Just drop us a line, tell us about your challenge, where you want to go, describe your education level to us. An employer should never ask your age, but it is important to let me know what your current age and rank is. That gives me an idea so I can help figure out where you're at mentally in your job search, because different rank structure tend to have different challenges. So what makes us different is we are veteran friendly and professional friendly, and we're here to help you get to the right place. And if you want to use this to just search for a job, just click the job search icon.
So your service is a whole lot different than, say, just posting a resume on monster.com then?
Sure. We're more, when many people go to our websites, in fact, we've had some people say, gosh, there's so much reading, what do I do? And they kind of miss the job search icon. You need, just like you're going on a combat mission, you need to figure out what's out there, who the players are, what's the environment. We try to provide information in each career field on our website that helps you get to the right place and understand where you're going and why employers think the way they do, because there really is a psychology to all of this.
Is there a charge for your services?
No. Companies pay all of our fees. We never charge anyone looking for a job any fee for any reason.
How does a job search for an officer differ from that of an enlisted man?
That is a really interesting question, because for some officers, it often pays to not mention that you were an officer.
Why would that be?
And one of the reasons for that is some employers or some military, this includes senior NCOs, some military have almost a sense of entitlement. And when they're not really sure of where they're going in life, they kind of push that where I was in life out front. So I was in charge of 200 people. I was in charge of this. I managed this. For many employers, they don't really care. They want to know what skills you bring. So if you say, and let's say you're an officer or senior NCO, and you say, I was a project manager for, well, very quickly, an employer is going to get down to the nuts and bolts. Did you actually touch a checkbook to where you had to pay for things and approve things, or were you really just a checkbox on the way in the acquisition food chain? Were you out there doing quality assurance? Are you technically qualified to do quality assurance? So some senior NCOs and officers need to forget that you were a senior NCO and forget that you were an officer. Just set that aside for a moment. That can play a very important role in your career success, but you need to answer the question just as much as anyone else does. What skills are you bringing to an employer, and why should an employer care? And being a management professional is not one of the reasons an employer should care.
Sounds like we should do a separate interview just about coming out as an officer then.
Yes, because I often meet, let's take junior officers. So many employers look at a junior officer as hardworking, diligent, great education, but someone who's had a sergeant kind of help them through life for the last 3 or 4 years. Depending upon branch of service, and this includes the Marine Corps, let's say you're a lieutenant or junior captain, employers don't always know how to relate to you, and often the officers don't know how to relate their own skills. And this goes to senior NCOs too. Now, I've worked with Marines for decades, quite literally, and many senior Marines continue to work in a technical field until the day they leave the Marines. The bottom line is, no matter what rank you are, you need to answer the question, I am seeking a junior level, mid-level, senior level position as what? And that what should never say being in charge of other people. It needs to answer the question, you should give me a paycheck because I am technically competent to do what?
Interesting take on it. Look forward to talking with you about that again, perhaps in 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm always here.
Good. Well, thank you for the time today. Perhaps next week we'll talk about California, the Marines coming out of California, specifically 29 Palms, Miramar, and Camp Lejeune.
Be glad to do that. And, just let me give you a bit of a preview. If the job market in North Carolina is a little bit laggy, and I recommend that you leave North Carolina, Southern California is just not a great place to be looking for a job at the moment. It's actually behind North Carolina in its ability to offer opportunities.
Well, we'll talk about that in detail next week then. This is Leatherneck Magazine's Andrew Lubin. We've been discussing the job market out of Camp Lejeune with Defense Careers Chairman Bill Golden. Bill, thanks for taking the time. We look forward to speaking with you next week.